Dial Models Workshop.
Hi, it's Yeji.
And Clint.
Hey, it's Larry. You are entering Models Workshop After Hours, a modeling podcast where we talk about miniatures, model painting, and we cuss a lot. If you can be offended, we're probably going to offend you. Then you're going to laugh, and you're going to feel bad. And then we'll offend you again, and then you'll laugh again. You see the pattern. So kick out, sit back, grab your brush, grab your paints, and get ready to have some fun. Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Models Workshop After Hours, where, you know, we sit and paint and probably make you blush a little bit, offend you a little bit, make you laugh a lot. But of course, I'm in the house, and who is joining me today on the podcast?
Yeji's back.
This is Mark.
Guess who's back? Yeji's back. Yes, for our certain listeners who think that we play off of each other, we're ready to play. Bring it. All right, so yeah, it's a Mark of Blusha time. So Ruh-roh, Raggy. I'm gonna blush a lot. So what have you guys been up to this last couple weeks?
No, been up to a
Don't
lot.
everyone speak at once. I mean, seriously.
I was being the gentleman.
And I just had to put like one little dot on, okay? Jeez, I'm actually painting. Got a lot done. Been on hangouts throughout the week. Like just randomly with people starting like last Saturday or so. And got a bunch of night models, the night model commission that I have. Got a bunch of those guys almost done. I need to do final details tonight as we're recording. And then I still have the Wolfkin and the Lehman Russ to do. And then I just got asked to do an Araman better than the Lehman Russ.
It's Aramon.
Araman, whatever.
Hey, you don't want the 40K fanboys going, oh my god, I can't believe she mispronounced that name. How dare she?
I'm Asian, okay? I say LASIK instead of LASIK or vice versa, whatever.
Yeah. I paid the Ariman Gutta. Oh, man. So, commission. What are you up to, Mark?
Not commissions.
Yeah,
not doing commissions.
Because heaven forbid you actually get paid to do anything that you do.
I know. I try to. Well, I put that disclaimer out so that you would understand and know where I'm coming from. And I just like to paint for fun.
Except whenever people are like, "Hey, can you paint a whole bunch of these models for free?" And then we'll bitch at you when you make one small mistake, because that's fucking just ginormously fun. That's so much fun that Larry had to get involved.
I'm right now. I'm putting the final touches on my Mouseling Necromancer.
Which looks so sweet.
I'm really trying to. The back part of like where the connection is bugging me, but I'm gonna fix it or try to fix it. It's a little bit rough, but other than that, I'm smoothing out some of the areas, making sure other areas are smoother, and then edging some stuff because I did the front, and the front is very bold, but the back is very toned down a lot. No, it's not boring. Once you see, I'll show you pictures. It's not boring at all. It's toned down a lot, but because it's toned down, I amped up the green necrotic energy coming from the spirit, his scythe, and his robes, and it looks really cool. Like it's almost like this green necrotic electricity pulsing across his robes, his scythe, and the spirit host, along with the actual. So when you look at the model and you're like, oh, that's cool, and then you turn it around, it's a totally different feel to the backside. The flowers have green energy
Mousy
coming
got
off of
back.
them.
Mousy got back.
Well,
oh
there was
my
two.
God, look at that mouse.
There was two Mouselings I got, one from Mocha and one from Kirk or Sarge, and I painted one, this one with the skull in the front, but I really like the necrotic look on the other one, and I said, you know what, why not do both? And so I just did it on the backside because it would make sense, coming from the different angle and the grave. It looks really cool, in my opinion. And I was trying something different. So you don't see a lot of times where people totally switch gears. You see a lot of two-sided miniatures with different light sources on one side or the other side. But it's like a completely different model from one to the other.
That's
what
really
I've been working on.
Are you putting that one into the competition?
Yes, I'm trying to beat somebody that is I consider one of my rivals in a good way. So we'll see. This is not going into chibi, no.
Isn't that pretty risky though?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
it's either going to be well received or not well received. I don't know, but it's if you don't take chances, you never learn or have fun with it. So, anyways, that's what I'm working on. That and some of my other stuff. I'm just finishing up our entries. Drew and I have every single entry covered except for large scale. I don't think we can do that. So we got a lot of them covered. And that's pretty much it. That's all I've been working on.
Better come back home with some trophies.
I'm gonna do my best. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna do my best. There's a lot of I've seen a lot of other entries from some people. There's some amazing work out there. A lot of intimidating work out there already that I've seen, and I'm not even talking about like Europe yet. So I don't know those guys as well as some of the other people.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Did I go there?
I don't know them that well.
Larry, do I need to spank you?
Oh God, yes. Please.
All right. That's more like a reward to you.
Exactly. That's like rewarding me for being bad by being bad. I'm actually being good. Do you know what I'm painting on right now?
On little kittens? Little jelly beans?
Little jelly beans of doom? No. I'm actually painting on a big horned jelly bean of doom. I'm working on the Minotaur.
Oh, like what are you talking about? I right over my head.
You gotta give the Minotaur a necklace.
Of what?
Or the wizard a necklace.
Oh, fuck that wizard. Fucking horrible. It looks right great, but it's horribly designed. Oh my God. No, so this week, I actually, for the last 2 weeks, last week I broke out the airbrush for the first time since coming down to the new studio, and I airbrushed on the bust quite a bit, the orc bust. So I got a lot of airbrushing. Basically, it wasn't so much I was trying to finish it. It was more of I'm testing skin tones to see if I can find one that I like and how it's laying down. And I don't know if I'm digging this particular skin tone. So the skin might get rebased. But anyways, then I actually broke out the Minotaur and was airbrushing on it a little bit. Now, the weird thing about the Minotaur is he's on fire. So he's where you would normally have shadows, he's really light. And where it would normally be light colored, he's really dark. So he's actually kind of a test of my skills, because it's going against everything that I have been doing for years. You know, the raised areas are getting darkened and the holes are getting lightened. And it sounds like it's easy, and in a way it is, but when you're so used to visualizing and conceptualizing things a certain way, and then you have to do a 180 and flip it around the other way, it kind of throws things into a completely different perspective. So it's kind of like, okay, this is definitely a little bit of a challenge. And also it's just finding the right blend of moving up from the yellows to the orange to the red, and maintaining the yellows inside the crevices. And then I'm gonna have to go through and work on the metals a little bit. And then today I got the mail from around the world. I got a box in from Australia, a box in from Greece, and I got a box in from the US from Amazon. So I was
What'd you get from Australia?
I finally got the case from Laser Shark Designs that I won.
Oh, right.
And I got that in. And I'll be doing reviews on everything that I got today. I did an unboxing, a live unboxing. I've been really digging the live stream. I have OBS set up, and I have my webcam. I need to set up my video capture card next so I can run my camera. But I have it all set up, and I've been, instead of uploading and everything else, I've literally just kicked on Livecast and have rolled with it. I'm pretty decent impromptu. You know, anyone who listens to the podcast kind of knows that, because we have kind of a guideline that we go by, but to say this is scripted, it's not. It's actually the opposite of scripted. It's a lot of freestyle flow.
I still say way too much when I'm by myself. Like I say a lot here, but when I'm by myself, if you look on some of my lives that I've done, Facebook lives lately, they're just like, and I'm like, shit.
I really don't have that problem. I've kind of, I still say on occasion, but I've really gotten it where I'll just stop myself from saying anything before I say So that's kind of neat. That's something I've trained. I've really cut down on one of my verbal tics. Now, there's a few others I need to work on, but I've gotten rid of that one. Or not rid of, but I've toned down on it heavily. But I picked up I actually received 3 more busts in from George. He's the guy who did the Orc Berserker I have sitting on my desk. I picked up Old Shaman, the Goblin Shaman, and I picked up the Goblin Jester. No, the Goblin Thief. I already had the Jester. So my collection of busts from George has grown substantially. But they're just
shit.
5 of them. I mean, but they're so fun to paint. I mean, they really are. And I've got most of the ones that I really want, so I'm kind of happy. And then the last item I got was a Dremel workstation, the one where you can strap your Dremel into it. It makes it basically into a drill press. I'll be doing a video. For those that don't know, I'll be doing a video over on the YouTube channel. Now, the YouTube channel is actually, I think, 2 away from hitting 1,000. We're at 998.
Nice.
So... yeah, and we're almost at 100,000 hits over there. We're actually doing pretty decent for not really advertising it, just basically recording stuff and just putting it out and people finding it and listening to it. So it's kind of neat. I'm not going to lie. It's been fun. Everything has been going up. Like I went to look at the podcast stats. And we haven't published an episode in March. This will be the first episode because I think we published one like on the 28th of February. So right there on the end. And I went and looked at today and we have the same number of downloads as of today, the 10th when we're recording, as we did for the entire month of February. And we haven't published an episode this month.
Woo!
I don't know what's going on, but whatever. I mean, like there are old podcasts that are getting like 30 and 40 downloads, but it's not following the typical pattern of new listeners. New listeners have a particular pattern. You can almost see like the 1 month where we gained like 30 new listeners. I could tell that we gained about 30 new listeners just from how they were listening to episodes. I think one of my
must have been Mark out on the street with a large handbag.
Something like that.
I did send some guild members over here from my WoW guild to listen because they're always like, hey, do you want to run a dungeon? I'm like, no, I got a podcast. I'm like, you do a podcast? I'm like, I'm on a podcast. I'm like, what's a podcast name? And I tell them Models Workshop and I send them the link. So maybe that's it. But I hold no actual causality for that.
I don't know. I know some of the people we gained because they messaged us and were asking questions, but some of them it's just like 30 people just started listening almost at the same time. I was like, okay, not going to complain. This is actually pretty cool. I'm not going to complain about random bursts of new people. Now, speaking of new people, we actually gained a few new patrons, and I realized earlier that it's kind of been a while since we've given a shout out to our patrons, and I am so sorry because you guys are literally the reason why we can do what we do and why we can expand and look at doing some other really fun and cool stuff. Now, our first patron, our platinum member patrons, is Joe from the podcast. He's donating to help out, and he's doing good. He's my teammate in the truck. If you don't know this by now, so I see him. He's just doing the magic thing pretty heavy, so he hasn't had a chance to come on. But he said that he'll try to hop on one of these years. And then Maxwell Latch, he was on the show a while back, and we have some cool news coming up from him shortly. I think he started a commission service, and since he's, one of our long-running patrons, we'll definitely give him a nice long shout-out here on the show and give the details once I find out some stuff. And then we got good old Sarge, who's kicking in at the gold standard because he's an awesome dude. Jay Aiden, one of our affiliates that we also work with, and a really awesome painter. You can check him out at jayaiden.com or hit him up on YouTube. He puts out a lot of really cool content on YouTube. And then Rye, I know it's Ree, but little Rye Bread, she's kicking into the gold because she's an awesome person. Now, this patron actually I didn't realize it, but Wayne, he runs the painting competition over at KublaCon, and I was having one of those little flashback deals where it says, hey, remember 6 years ago, so-and-so said this. Well, a few days ago, I had one that popped up with Wayne, and it was from 6 years ago, and he says, hey, I just found your website. I just wanted to say it's really awesome, and that's cool, dude. And you're probably like, well, lots of people say that, don't they? Yeah, we get messages quite often talking about the podcast and talking about the information that we put out. The significance about this is 6 years ago, at the beginning of March, the website was 3 weeks old. Like, quite literally 3 weeks old. It had just launched, and we had just started putting all the information on the website. So it was like brand spanking new. And in all honesty, I think Wayne was the first person who ever messaged Models Workshop in any capacity to say, hey, you guys are doing a good job. And I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that I'd been friends with Wayne for 6 freaking years at this point. It kind of blew my mind. I was like, damn, has it been that long? I even messaged him. I was like, damn, dude, I didn't realize it that you were probably our first fan, or at least the one that was the first vocal fan that told us anything. So that was kind of a cool little neat story. And Wayne will probably be on the podcast at one point. Like I said, he runs the painting competition at KublaCon, so I think we're going to have him on as a special guest about doing smaller conventions, not stuff that's on the scale of Adepticon, but like KublaCon, KingdomCon, stuff like that. And we might actually try to get Ross on the show too. Ross said that he would come on. He said that like a year and a half ago. So I got to remind him, like, hey, you said you wanted to come on. Come on. But then another one of our gold folks is Kenny. Thank you very, very much. And then JS Crush, aka James. Thank you once again for supporting the show. And then our silver level page. Okay, now this is kind of weird because they all pledged under like the lowest tier, but most of these guys actually have kicked in well over the thing. So they really should be like in the platinum and the gold standard. Like Austin, he's a brand new patron that just kicked up this month, and he's definitely in the platinum level. And thank you very much, sir. And then there is Mike, a.k.a. the Greenskins, and he should be in the gold as well. And then Guildenstern, we miss you. Make up another name and come on Facebook. Fuck the man. She's also pledging in at the gold level. And then Mike, the guy who was supposed to be doing train with us and then figured out that he had another 75 hobbies that he wanted to do. And then we've got Scott, who's coming in, and then Scotty does it know about Fiona and me.
I love that song.
I love that movie. That movie's freaking great.
I like that movie.
But those are our patrons. For those who are interested in becoming a patron of Models Workshop, you can head over to patreon.com/Models Workshop. And you're going to ask, where does the money go? The money goes into buying upgrades. Like we got a microphone for Mike. We ended up having to pick up a new video card for me because mine blew out of my computer. And that's what I do to you do all the videos and do the podcasts and everything. And then we're going to eventually get around, like I said, buy a button machine. We're going to be doing some t-shirts, and we've got plans. We've definitely got plans. We're talking about a second podcast, and it's really looking like it's going to be a thing. It's probably not going to be a thing until towards the third quarter of this year, because we want to have everything in place. We don't want to be jumping around like we did with this one, but trust me, when it gets going, it's going to be pretty freaking cool. I think this is something that's going to be really popular. But those are our patrons. Like I said, if you want to go ahead and back us, that's cool, and it does help out. It really does help out. We don't take sponsors. Now, let me explain something about the don't take sponsors thing. We don't have a sponsor. We don't have a steady sponsor. We don't have advertisements on our website other than the Amazon stuff, because Amazon, it's an affiliate. You can buy anything you want on Amazon. You can almost literally buy anything on Amazon. it's not brand specific. The big thing that we have is brand specific advertising. And we do not have that because we do not want to feel beholden to any company to be like, hey, we have to talk good about your product. No. If I think a product is great, I'm going to say the product is great. If I think it sucks, I'm going to say it sucks. All right. Well, you guys go ahead and talk and ramble on and do some don't do anything I wouldn't do, which is not so much.
I was going to say, what does that entail?
I know. I'm like, that's a lot of stuff. Like a lot of stuff.
Now you're saying, tons of them.
I'm doing it to the song of Row, or what is that? I don't know. I don't even know what song I'm singing anymore.
Row your boat?
Yeah. No, Three Blind Mice. There we go. Three Blind Mice.
I'm still working on the other things. I got to finish up these bases for these guys, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. They're so flat, and there's nothing to them unless I remove them from the base, but they're all come with molded bases.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to add texture and give them like a cobblestone feel with a little bit of like flock mixed in. But it's not easy.
No.
Like when you don't have to worry about bases and you can put them on anything you want, you can. But these are AQ guys, so that's another thing I'm worried about.
Well, that's the hard thing about, I think the hardest part I have about competitions are is the basic part for me personally.
Well, and that's, I was going to get into it, the composition for the base, like what is important and how you view it. And I second guess myself constantly on that. That is something that I'm not the best at. Like I'll have a theme and I'll have an idea and I will write it down. I will draw it out and then I will check with you guys and a whole slew of other people. Constantly, like, I will literally flash them a picture. First thoughts. What do you think? How does this feel? And, you and Larry were telling me about like the mouseling guy, mm-hmm. and you were talking about it and how the top part is overpowering.
Yeah.
And it's weird because every single person said the exact same thing, but they said it in like a positive light. They're like, that's what draws you in. It was weird.
and Larry like and I were just like, hey, asshole, that's way too bright for the other part of the model.
Well, you said it was like overpowering in a negative way, and every other person said it was overpowering in a great way to draw your eye in. Huh. And I said, okay. So I compromised on both what everyone said. So I darkened around the mouseling a little bit more to tone him down. And then I darkened around the necromancer guy to make him stand out a little bit more. So there's like around the gravestone there's a little bit dark, and around his base is a little bit dark, and then like the shaft of his scythe is a little bit darker.
But
so
I think our point too though was that like what's going to be the focus of the model, is it going to be the mouseling or is it going to be the ghastly thing? So
well, you're seeing like, even though it's a single, you're looking at it from separate, and it's supposed to be all encompassing. Like it's the whole piece itself.
Right. But the problem with that piece is, Mark, is that they're pieces that don't have a focal tend to not do as well. And the only thing that draws your eye on the entire piece is the ghost, and it completely pulls it away from the necromancer.
I don't think so. I know I see what you're saying. I acknowledge it, and I see how you feel. But I feel that it draws you in. Now the mouseling has got a really good blend, and it goes from bright and it goes down, and I darken the area where it goes down, and then the face of the scythe picks up. The little owl picks up, and then the next thing that hits you is the skull cowl. I mean, it's just in your face, bam.
You know what else has a really good blend? Elven cloaks of don't see. Those have really good blends as well. Yeah, because you don't see anything on the model. It literally all blends together into one big blob. There is no focal piece. There is nothing. and then all of a sudden you have this spirit that's bright. Everything else is brown hues that all blend together. There's no focal point. There's nothing that makes you even look at the necromancer. You notice the necromancer is a second thought. That's the second or third thing you see on the piece, and it should be the focal point of the piece.
It is essentially. Everything else is an afterthought because the actual mouse is nothing but just the blended highlights. There's no line work. There's no freehand. There's no nothing. It's just a very, I sculpted. I think I sculpted it well, but it's just a very two-tone.
You did sculpt it fucking incredibly well, and that's the problem. You sculpted it incredibly well, and you're wasting it by making it all fucking molted colors. It's browns. There's nothing that draws the attention to these really awesome molded pieces. And I think, in all honesty, you really should have some focal points to those pieces, and you don't. And I think, honestly, it's kind of wasted.
You don't think the skull on the cowl is a focal piece, though?
No, it's the same color as everything else on that piece. It's different hues of brown. There's nothing that draws the attention to it. There's no highlights that really make you go, oh, look at that. There's no glowing eyes. There's nothing that draws your eyes to it. Everything is honestly, I think what would make that piece great, get rid of the ghost. Get rid of the spirit. Because as of right now, everything is drawn to that spirit because it's the one bright thing on the model.
We'll see. I'm going to keep it. I'm sorry. I like it.
It looks good, but the problem is that it draws everything to it. Everything is drawn to the spirit, and nothing is drawing the attention to the necromancer itself. The necromancer is almost an afterthought, even though more work went into that necromancer than anything else on that piece. And that's the point that I'm trying to make, and I think it's a waste because the necromancer is amazing, and it really needs something to draw the attention to. So, did we skip the news and go straight into the hobby topic?
Kind of.
Well, we were just waiting for you to come back. So,
all right. So
I didn't know what else.
We'll do
I don't
some
know much news.
They're on the notes that I sent you. All right. So the news.
I am looking at it. There's nothing on there. Maybe I'm
Website
just
redesign.
looking at the wrong one.
You're looking at the template, the blank, something
Probably.
that has literally nothing on it. But anyways, so we redesigned
At least I'm
the
looking
website.
at something, right?
Yeah, something. That's right. So we redesigned the website a couple days ago, and we have a new, and it might change again. I'm not 100% sure. But we ended up using a different template than the one we did before. There's a couple bonuses to the new template and a couple downsides to the new template. The new template is a 2-column versus a 3-column. And also the old one would scale to your screen and the new one doesn't. It's what's called a fixed template. It's always the same width. Now, that is a downside, and a couple people have voiced how they don't like it because it's really narrow on their screen. And it is, and I understand that. And I'm sorry. But the reason we're using the new template is because it has a mobile application with it. Like if you look it up on a phone, it changes the browser and actually gives you a mobile option where you can go to the podcast player. And I like it because I was able to design things and make it look neat. I was able to redo the logo and actually use our new logo versus the old one. And there is going to be some getting used to, but the layout is definitely just a lot crisper. There's a section for the podcast itself up in the corner now. And there's a couple widgets that we installed, but it might change again if I can find another template that has a good mobile platform that looks good on the website too. That's the real problem I'm finding. They either look really good on mobile or they look really good on the website. And the ones that look really good on the website usually don't have a mobile application. So it's a losing battle, but I know a lot of our listeners actually, or a lot of the people that go to the website actually use their mobile phones to do this type of stuff. So it was definitely something that I had to keep in mind while I was looking for this. And It's one of those, I understand you might not like it, and it may not be the most optimum, but I'm able to fit more on the front page now, and it makes it look neat versus before when I was only able to fit like 3 or 4 things, and it looks sloppy. Now I have 7, and I'm probably going to bump it to 10, and I'm able to highlight videos. And my plan is eventually I want to start highlighting not only our videos, but also some of our affiliate videos that they have out that really could get a nice boost. So that's another bonus to it. So like I know Jay said that he didn't like the website because and he said he didn't like it because it was narrow. Yeji doesn't like it because the top and the bottom bar don't move because she is picky as all fuck. My dogs are getting an argument.
I know what I fucking want.
Hey, at least I got rid of the piss yellow background, all right?
Oh God, yes.
And I shout out to Epic Duck because he's totally the guy behind that. He actually turns out he writes custom WordPress stuff. And no, we can't afford him. I kind of asked. I was like, so? And he's like, no. Because that's what he does for a paying job. And just like me, you go like, hey, Larry, you want to come drive a truck drive a truck for me on the weekend? No, not really. But... all right, so Forge World actually came out with 2 new Blood Bowl miniatures actually today, I think it was. It's 2 All-Stars? Star characters. It's one for the human team and one for the orcs, and they look pretty damn cool. I mean, it's Forge World, so of course they look great. And then the last little bit of news is another one of our affiliates, the Dice Must Flow, have a giveaway for a starter set of All Quiet on the Martian Front. If you go to models-workshop.com, we are covering that on our front page as of a couple days ago, and I'll boost it up again. But it's super easy. All you have to do is be subscribed to his channel, and there's like some bonus ways to get some bonus entries. He's using Gleam as an entry, so you got to do is go to Gleam, follow the directions, and you're entered. And the game actually looks kind of neat. It's one of those games, and it's by Ironclad Games. But it was a Kickstarter that had some issues. Then Ironclad stepped in, took it over, ended up producing it, doing a good job of it, and so we now have All Quiet on the Martian Front, which is cool. And also, I want to give a shout out to another podcast that just came out. No, normally I usually wait until they have a few podcasts under their belts, but I have faith in this guy, which means he'll probably quit next week because that's how shit goes. But it's a guy, he goes by Paint All the Minis, and that's the name of his show too. And his show is very similar to ours, kind of. Like us, it's a group of people who almost always hang out. We have guests come on every once in a while, and we shoot the shit. We're vulgar. We use our high school humor and all that stuff. Now it is conversational. Like it's him sitting down with another guy, just chit chatting, bullshitting, just like we do, except it's him and another guest every show. And it's kind of neat. It's kind of an interview style, and he's going through the different people, and he's got 4 or 5 episodes already recorded and edited, and I know he has a grocery list of people who want to come on the show, and which is really cool. So I mean, everything is set up for him, and it's actually a pretty fun show to listen to. Definitely check it out. It's Paint All the Miniatures. Yeah, for sure. I mean, check it out. If you like Models Workshop, you should seriously like that show as well. It's a little shorter on the format, too. But that's the news. Now, we're going to get into our hobby topic, and it goes into what we were talking about earlier when we were arguing about Mark's model, and it's model composition. Planning your model out. So, Mark suggested this topic, so I'm going to go ahead and let him take it away. Take it away, Mark! Mark is probably in the bathroom right now. Yeah,
I'm feeling like Larry's cursing us out, going, "Where the fuck are these fuckers?" You know, and we're just like, doo-doo-doo.
Yeah.
Funny you say that, because I kind of was.
Well, it's weird because if you start talking, and I don't know what it is, you start talking, and it's like the internet can't catch up, and you start to. It's at first it's okay, it gets a little choppy, and then as you keep going, it gets worse, and then once you stop and you respond to us, it's perfectly fine. I have no clue.
Yep.
So you're saying I'm talking too fast for the internet?
It could be.
Pretty much.
The internet cannot keep up. The matrix is not loading.
They're probably like, God damn it, we put too fast of a talking module in this one.
Maybe.
Now, I was saying that this week's topic is model composition and planning out your model, and we were having a heated debate about your mouse, and you suggested it, so take it away, Mark.
So what I was saying before is when you do the model composition, it's not just about the paint. Like, more than that is the model composition and the theme for it. So when I was doing my mouse and when I'm doing some of my other composition, I have sort of like what I want to do in my head and how it's going to look. But I do a rough sketch. I draw it up and then I start talking to people. How does this look? You know, I ask the crew a ton of questions about how it looks, where it's going to go. And I talk to other people as well, because
Cheater.
It's not just how you feel it looks, because you'll look at something like that looks amazing, and then you'll ask somebody else and they'll be like, it doesn't, no, it doesn't really work. So
yeah, it all blends together.
Great to get it's great to get other people's advice and input, as a good reference point. But like I'm taking, I took Larry's and Yeti's advice on this one, but I'm still going to go with my gut on the overall feel with it. I like the way it looks. To counterbalance the mouse, I drew the plinth down on the right side to counterbalance the left side, and I think it's got a good overall flow to it. I feel that way. I know Larry thinks it does not, but then again, at the end we'll see how it goes. But other than that, it's the composition pieces. It's like sometimes your piece could be painted exceptionally well, but if the overall feel of what you're trying to get across doesn't come through, you'll fail. It's done. It doesn't matter about the painting. Sometimes it's more than that. So it's good to have a reference point. I know I've seen people do these amazingly complex dioramas, and it's too much. The model is lost inside the diorama. So that's another thing. You have to have a flow to the model, the flow to the piece. Make sure your angles in there focus certain ways to draw people in. There's a lot to it. There's a lot more than people actually think there is. I remember when I did my Nurgle design last year, I think I went over a rough sketch and I went through 2 foam skulls before I got actually the right placement. And at the very end, it was my wife, like, we almost got into a screaming match over this because I was like, no, you don't understand. And she's like, I do understand. And she was right. Was it another peanut butter incident?
I'm always right.
It was not a peanut butter incident. She was right though. It was very how she sort of said, look, this is what's going to draw you in. This is how you have to have it. This is the centerization. Because I wanted to go left to right, top to bottom, like top down at an angle. And she says, no, don't do that. It doesn't flow well. And because of the height constrictions I was making on myself at the time, which I now know is bullshit, there are 75 millimeters for the crystal brush rule restriction. That's absolute crap. That's just thrown out the fucking window. There is no height restrictions. And I only know that because I've seen people win with giant walls or warp gates. And I'm not saying the model wasn't well, but you're like, hey, that's bigger than 75 millimeters, isn't it? And it doesn't matter.
Well, it's just like their large model. People can't enter Titans because they're too tall for the competition. You can't enter a Titan.
Right. But I mean, it's just, I don't even, like, I'm a stickler for the rules when it comes to that. I measure out my plinths. I measure out the height restrictions. I measure out every single thing about that. And you come to fight, it makes you mad because it's like, if I'd known that on certain pieces, I would have made them bigger or larger to stand out more. But especially on the Nurgle ones, it felt too compacted a little bit, in my opinion. But anyways.
It is what it is. Now, the point that I'm making with Mark about the composition, I like how Mark goes about his compositional pieces. The entire sketching everything out. I do the same thing. And it doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to be, take a piece of paper, draw roughly the shape of the plinth, and go, okay, for like my Minotaur that I'm working on right here. What I did is it's going to be mounted on an oval base. and I took the size of the oval base, and I was like, all right, I want the Minotaur coming in from this direction because I want his sword to be a focal piece. And then I want the wizard to be on the other side looking like, and I want them both not to be looking directly at each other because that would lose a lot of the detail of the pieces. I'm going to have them kind of looking out towards the people a little bit, but still it's going to be angled in such a way where you can definitely easily tell that they're fighting each other, but they're still going to be, their paths would cross, but their paths would cross closer to where you're at. And then it's going to be an underground piece. And I was like, you know what would look really cool? And what always makes a diorama look neat? Water. So I'm going to add some water in there, like an underwater creek. And so I was like, it's basically, it gives you an idea of being able to plan. Like, okay, I'm going to need the Minotaur miniature. I'm going to need the wizard miniature. I'm going to need some water effects. I'm going to need some cork to build up the walls. I'm going to need some cork to build up the ground, and then I'm going to need some stuff from Woodland Scenics to do the rest of it. And it gives you a good idea of what, not only how the piece is going to lay out, it also gives you an idea of what materials you need to buy for the entire diorama or the piece as well. Now, for single pieces like Mark has, one thing a sketch will do is it allows you to also plan, like, I'm going to position this piece here, I'm going to position this here, I'm going to position this here. And it gives you a good visualization, like, hey, I want to put a owl, a black cat, a pumpkin, and a witch on this piece. And you start sketching it out, and you're like, you know what? That pumpkin doesn't fit. There's too much. Or the black cat doesn't fit. There's too much going on, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the black cat. And that's something that you learn from doing the sketch. And also another thing, and this is something I've noticed people forget, and this is, I'm talking people who are award-winning painters forget too, is when you're planning out these pieces, it's not only the stuff that's on the base that you got to account for. Another thing you can do is like, all right, where are my light sources going to be? Am I outside? If I'm outside, where's the sun at? And that way, because what people will do is they'll they'll highlight everything as if the sun was right in front of the models, even if they're facing each other and the sun is really going to be over the shoulder of another model, of one of the models on the left. And it gives you a way to be like, all right, the sun is going to be positioned here, so I'm going to have to do my highlights coming in from this direction, and I'm going to have to shadow it from this direction. And it really adds to the piece as well. Same with this, if you have torches. You can have torches on the wall, and you can actually do sketches and go, if there's a torch here, I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm going to go draw light lines. And it's like, okay, so where the lines hit the model, that's where your highlights are going to be. On the direct opposite side of where those lines are, and you can actually draw through the model as well, just change colors of pencils. At this part of the model, it's going to be shadow. And, okay, so you can get a rough idea of where your shadows are going to be as well. And it just makes planning for light sources, it makes planning for all of that other stuff a lot easier, and it makes it where you can plan out like the pieces of the models themselves. Like, I'm going to need rocks, I'm going to need torches done, I'm going to need all this good stuff. I had to design torch racks and all. Like, I
definitely like it because I can sketch it out and see you can see the flow too. That's another thing. There's a thing that someone told me about, and it was the negative space impact, how the space around the model flows. Like if you're putting trees or branches, and how you'd want to do it, how you want to angle them to draw your eye in. So there's that too. Like, I love working with negative space to highlight certain things. Or if you add a model and you put them in a doorway, like the framed effect. So if you can put things around the model, sort of like a halo or a circle, it focuses them. So that's another great concept too.
Exactly. And the composition can literally be anything. It can be all the way from what base you use, what materials you're going to use, what light sources you're going to have. And planning this can honestly, it's not going to solve every problem, because here it is, Mark's piece is almost done, and him and I are still debating color choice, composition. But it's never, even at the very end of a model, you can look at it and go, you know what, I forgot to account for this. But on the same token, it's a lot better than... Okay, prime example. My Crystal Lake chibi diorama that I'm doing. I was like, what do I want to do? I'm going to take the chibi Jason and I'm going to frame him in trees. And it's going to be springtime because that's when most of the Friday the 13th take place. And I'm going to utilize that really iconic, he's looking out over the lake at someone and he's just going to be standing there. So I'm going to frame him with trees. He's going to be dark and grimy looking, but everything around him is going to be nice and fresh and green and brand new. So it's going to be like a polar opposite. And then he's going to have the lake right below him and possibly a body in the lake. I haven't decided that yet. I do have the zombie model from the Reaper Chibis as well that I was going to use. And planning out stuff like that can really help with your choices too. And also, whenever you're doing compositional design, like when I was doing the Chibi Jason, Crystal Chibi Lake, I actually was out on a hike at a state forest on a creek. And I'm looking. I was like, you know what? Right there, where those trees are framing and the shelf right there. And I snapped a picture. And that's what I'm going to actually build the diorama on. But if I hadn't done a compositional sketch, I wouldn't have known to look out for that particular layout in nature. So the planning just makes things go a lot easier. Taking an hour to do some rough sketches and figure out where you're going to put everything can save you days worth of time. And once you finally get there, because you might realize in the sketch stage that there's a model that you were going to paint that you just don't need to paint because it just doesn't fit. And also,
that's a huge point. That's and probably to your credit of saying to me that it's like sometimes you can overdo it. Like my little
pony
Reaper Witch, my Reaper Witch that I did, I just threw everything on a little base. It's probably way too much stuff on that, but it was just for fun. It's not like going into a competition. And you said before that the spirit on the sky is probably too much. And you could be right. But like you see other people that just are like, okay, I'm going to put a flower here and then I'm going to put a mushroom here and I'm going to put this here and I'm going to put that there. Unless you're in some kind of overgrown forest that's been overgrown for like 100 years, there's probably no need for all of that extra stuff. Like, I was thinking to myself, like, I could put a mushroom here, I could put and I'm like, no, you're going too much. It'll be too cluttered. It's already cluttered as it is. It'll just be too much. And so you have to know when to stop and take a breather on it and say, okay, whoa, how much is too much? Is this going to kill it? And sometimes you can do it. You'll see people that just go over the top. I know some of my pieces have gone way over the top, and my wife is always telling me, she's like, don't go all mark. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? But you know what it means.
Like a big mouse spirit that's bigger than the chibi itself. And bright. You went Mark.
It's going to be like the boob shadow Mark. It's going to go on forever.
No, I think that's totally different. That was actually, I still...
No, it's different because I was right on that one. He's never going to concede that I'm right on this one.
Well, it's not, it's personal opinion on this one, in my opinion. The boob shadow you were right on because it was actually a light that was out of place. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I actually saw it after you pointed out to me 5 times. And I'm like, oh, okay.
5? Whoa, buddy. 5? Dozen?
Okay, maybe it was a little bit more than 5. But I did concede the
I
point.
literally had to take a picture of the fucking thing and draw it on my phone with the stylus with like light lines.
Hey, now he's saying you're right, so now you can stop.
I was gonna say I've said you're right. I've said you're right. I don't think this is wrong in a certain way because I'm looking at it from the perspective, a different perspective. I think we'll see. I mean, in the end result, we'll see.
It'll bring home best of show, and then I'm just gonna be like, shut up.
I don't think that's gonna happen. Some of the people are.
You never know. All the airlines could go on strike. And the snipers, the painters won't come in from Europe.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes. I do want to say that, like, when we were talking about, like, the other thing and I made that post, I'm dead serious. If people are going to vote, which I hope people do, don't be douchebags about it. I know for a fact people are like, well, I voted this person down because I like this other person. Don't do that. That's such a shitty thing to do to people. The people that work hard on these miniatures and they produce art And mind you, it's for competition. I'm doing it for competition because I strive on. I love it. I love the little bit of rush I get. It's a little bit of adrenaline thing.
He gets it. He loves it, but then he never mentions it. 10 episodes, not knowing you have a golden demon fucker.
Well, because it's for me, but at the same time,
you're saying this is like masturbation material for you.
No. That's going. I'm saying that the little bit of excitement.
It's for It's for self gratification, dude.
Well, you took it sick into the gutter.
No, it's not. It's in the same class. You paint for yourself and you don't talk about it with anyone else. You do it for yourself and you don't talk about it with anybody else. It kind of goes hand in hand if you think about it.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but at the same time, okay, sure. I paint because I enjoy it. That's primarily. But at the same time, I paint for competition.
That's kind of why you would masturbate too, is because you enjoy it.
But I paint for competition because I do enjoy the competition and the rush. It is very exciting. It's fun being there and seeing all the exciting artwork. But you have to remember that the people that do this kind of stuff, they pour their hearts into it. And they stress over it, and in good ways and in bad ways, but they do stress over it. I've had 2 or 3 people message me today and they're like, God, this is stressful. And I'm stressed out. I'm like, take a breather, take a step back. How many projects are you doing for the crystal brush? And they're like 2 or 3. I'm like, tone it down and take one away. That'll be for next year. So, you want to have fun with it. And then to have, someone go online and snipe them because they're other artists, they want to do better. It's such a
douchebag move.
It. Yes, that's exactly it. So
if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't do it.
Right, just vote. I want you to vote, but I want people to vote with,
vote honestly. Don't fucking vote a 3 because you don't like a person. I mean,
it's not even 3. People vote 1s and they're just nonchalant about it. There's like 1 because I don't like him, 1 because I don't like him. My artist is a 10. It's almost like, they're going to like, what is it? The Voice or whatever. Was that show? I don't know.
No, if it was like American The Voice, Idol. I'd be signing.
American Idol. It's American Idol. It's like that kind of thing, But in American Idol, you could only vote for the person you liked. In this one, you can vote for the person you like and then vote against the person you don't like.
Here's the thing. If there's there's a couple painters that I do not like. I honestly hate them with a passion. Okay. If they entered the crystal paintbrush, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to skip them and I'm going to go to someone else that I can objectively vote for, because I honestly, if I saw some of these people, I could not objectively vote for them because my malice towards them will tarnish their piece. And so what I am going to do is I'm going to skip them. And that's what you should do. Or not you, right. But the people in general. Don't vote a 1 because your buddy's in a painting competition. You're not helping your buddy. You're actually being you're being a bad buddy by giving them a 10. Or by giving them an artificial 10 just because they're your friend. Because they're not going to. I'm the harshest critic on the people that I am closest to. Ask Yeji, ask Mark, ask Clint, ask Sinjin, ask any of them. I am harder on them than I am anybody else outside of Models Workshop. Why? Because I want them to be better painters. And I'm not going to make them better painters by saying, oh, that's a 10 paint job, Mark. Keep it up. I'm going to go, hey, Mark, I think that's a 7.5 or maybe an 8. I think you really could bump up the level a little bit. And what it does there is I force him to push himself a little bit more. And I expect the same thing from them. If I show something, I want them to give me honest fucking feedback. I don't want them to fucking My Little Pony this bitch and be like, oh, that looks great, Larry, even though they don't think it looks great, because it doesn't help anyone. And it's the same thing in the fucking competitions. This isn't a goddamn popularity fucking contest. This isn't about whose name that you're fucking friends with. This isn't just because it's a Jen, or it's not just because it's an Aaron or a Liz or something else and they're fucking popular. That should have absolutely no goddamn indication on your fucking vote. It should honestly be sincerely on the paint itself that's on that fucking model. If you like the model, you like the way it looks. Like, I didn't think the piece that won last year should have won. I thought the piece that came in second, but I still give merits to the one that won. I gave it not actually. I think I might have given both of them a 10, but I preferred the other piece. And honestly,
I agree with you. And the reason I agree with you is because I thought the piece was amazingly painted, and there was nothing you could take around. I think both pieces were like 10s, but from a personal perspective, I thought the Warcraft piece was better just because they painted it in a way that made it look like it was almost 2D. And I'm like, to paint a 3D model to make it look like it was 2D painted, like it was a picture. People were talking about saying, I thought that was like just a painting someone did on, and no. So it was a really cool concept and well done. The Atonement though was stunning, and it was really cool, and I really liked it. The thing I didn't like about it was that piece was muddled with like monotone colors, like you can't even believe. I thought that was very just drawn to like warm browns, and that's all the feeling I got from it. Where the Warcraft piece was rich and vibrant. Oh my gosh, it was brilliant. I liked it. So,
but it's one of those things.
Part of it is how it's. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think part of it too is how it was photographed as well.
Right. And it's subjective. It's all subjective, and that's what the beauty of some of this stuff is. It's subjective. But then again, it's like certain types of painting style. We were talking, I like better than I like other types of painting styles, but it doesn't take away from the painting style. It's just my own feeling on why I like it.
Right.
There's an artist called Peppa, I think her name is.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I think so, yeah.
It's going to sound, if you could take her busts are just insanely good. I don't like busts. You can ask, I don't like them. But they're so smooth and rich in color with contrast, and you can feel the emotion coming off of them. It's amazing. And I said, okay, if you can get that kind of visceral reaction from me over a type of figure that I don't like, you've got to be doing something right. It's awesome.
Yeah, Peppa Saavedra, she is amazing.
She's just one of those people that I absolutely love. Another person I think is great is Sam, but I took his class because I really like that style of painting. There's other types of paintings that I don't like. What is it? People will probably go, Mark, you're crazy. Banshee. I don't like that style. Just not for me. I don't like that. He's a great painter, but I can't. The style is so chalky and blocked out and just rough, in my opinion, comparatively to some of the other amazing painters.
Here's the question: how would you vote a person like that on the online competition? Are you going to vote them on execution of their style, or are you going to let their style factor in on your voting?
He still paints amazingly well, so he'd probably still be 9 or 10. But it's not. But if I had my druthers and it's between two amazing artists, the style would definitely have an impact on my voting. And that's so like if it was him and Peppa.
Oh, right.
I'd vote for her.
And that's kind of what I was getting at, is that another thing that people do is they let style play into it. And I understand that style in a certain point does have to factor into things, but on the same token, you really have to look at how well they execute it. I've mentioned it a few times. I'm not a fan of Ben Comet's style. I don't like it. I think it looks really washed out. There's something about his style I just don't like. On the same hand, I will say that he's a phenomenal painter, and he executes his paint jobs with fucking mastery. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean that I'm going to say that it sucks. There's a big difference between don't like and sucks. Don't like means I just don't like the way it's executed. I mean, the way it's painted. But to say it sucks, that means you're saying that it was executed poorly. And I think that's another thing people have to kind of pay attention to when it comes to the entire voting thing, is that even if it's a style or a model, such as Chibi, that you don't like, if it's well painted and it's executed properly, then vote fucking properly on the execution of the model. Don't judge it completely just on the style of the artist. If they executed their style really well, then give them a good vote, because that's what they fucking deserve, because they executed it well. They didn't execute it poorly. You just don't like the particular style, which is fine. But and that's something else I've noticed is that people downvote stuff because they don't like the style, and I don't agree with it. I personally think that's wrong.
Me too. But I've been fighting that battle for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, you do chibi, so...
I think a lot of people have.
Yeah. I think... I don't know. I think it should be like the Hall of Fame where they have 100 people that vote, and it's... They go out and they talk to people who are in the industry, and they have people like Luke Wilson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They vote, and they get like a balloted vote. I understand why they have the open voting, but I don't like it. I like the way Draconic did it, where the online vote was they had a specific award for the online vote that encouraged people to still vote because it was a pretty prestigious prize, like Player's Choice or People's Choice Award. But overall, the actual judging itself was all done by the judges.
They're in person.
Yeah, they're in person who can see and handle and look at the model and twist it around and, make sure everything's on the uppity up. Which I think should be the way it was done. But anyway, so we talked about composition and we talked about voting, and it was a damn good... I drink a root beer, and root beer always makes me want to burp a lot. So I've been trying not to burp in the microphone. But we're going to talk about a tool of the trade. And this one was suggested by Yeji, so I'm going to go ahead and let her carry it away.
Woohoo! So, as some of you probably have already seen if you like my artist page, and that I used something that was a household item for something that we usually use in painting. So the other day I was working on a car, like a little model die-cast car, and one of my friends had wanted me to paint part of it, and I didn't have any masking tape at home, so I'm like, okay, what can I freaking use? What can I use? And then I look at my little drawer full of things, and there's the lint roller, and I'm like, hell yeah! So I get my lint roller out, and I just cut it with an X-Acto knife, and I'm masking this thing away, and it turned out all right. So tools of the trade. Lint rollers actually work as masking tape.
I think it's a good idea because they're made to stick and pick up stuff, but not stick so much that they'll take off paint or other things.
Exactly.
It's a good find.
And I feel like it's a little bit more pliable, because it's like a plasticky material versus masking tape. I don't know how to describe it, like paper. So I felt like it was more pliable. It does seem to be a little
bit thinner.
Yeah, a bit thinner.
Now, the cool thing is I always keep a lint roller around in my studio because I use a lot of photography mats. And then, of course, my unboxing area has a mat. And if you have pets or anything, those things get dusty like you wouldn't believe. Outrageously dusty. So that was actually a pretty neat little idea. And I was like, hey, because I have a lint roller sitting over in my unboxing area right now for lint rolling the mat. So I was like, hey, that's a pretty good idea. And in all honesty, they're already cut. You get 1 billion of the little cut pieces on a standard roll, and they're pretty damn inexpensive. And I was thinking about it because I kind of made a smart ass comment, like, you do know that the different tapes have different tackiness, right? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then I thought about it. I was like, honestly, though, I think she's right. I think the lint brush actually inherently has less tackiness than the tape does. Mm-hmm. And the way
I've had bad experiences with actual masking tape before.
Now, if you are using
it just
actual masking
off the primer.
Tape, right. Now, if you are using actual masking tape, make sure to tap it against your shirt a few times to de-tack it a little bit. And on top of that, you can also, if you're really, really worried about it pulling up paint, you can take a blow dryer and blow dry the masking tape as you pull it up. And the heating will actually cause the glue to weaken, and it'll allow you to pull it up without ripping the paint off.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, pro tip. My wife watches a lot of home renovation shows. So I've watched a lot of masking being done and them removing a lot of masking tape. You pick up little things. It's nuts where you find little tips and tricks for the painting world in like other shit. You never know.
In a good way.
Yeah. You never know where you're gonna find a tip like, oh, that's useful. You know, I didn't know blow drying. At one point I didn't know blow drying masking tape weakened the glue, but now I do.
Knowing's half the battle.
Exactly. So, any new Kickstarters out there that you guys have seen that caught your attention?
Ugh. Ugh. So we say this year, 2017, we're not going to do any, we're not going to be crazy into Kickstarters. No, we're already up to like 6 for the first 2 months.
How the fuck are you not a super backer yet?
Because you have to do like 25 in a year, and I barely reached like 22 last year.
You know what you do is you go pledge $1 on a whole bunch.
No, it has to be over $5 on them.
Okay, then you find ones that you don't want anything from, but you want to support them, and you pledge $5.
No, if I'm supporting something, I want shit.
Greedy ass.
I am.
Oh.
I did not do anything yet.
I've been good.
Contemplating something.
Actually, no. I've pledged 2 different Kickstarters. Or no, one Kickstarter so far. So far, that's the operative word. So far.
So far.
And there's another one that just popped up this week that I'm having a hard time.
Turtle Villages.
Huh?
Turtle Villages.
Kind of.
Turtle Towns. Is
No.
that the one I'm thinking of?
Well, not turtle
No,
towns, but buildings that are on the back of turtles. So you got that right.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so the Kickstarter we're talking about is already sitting at $1.85 million out of the asking of $300,000. It is a CMON product, Cool Mini or not. It is a board game, but this one's a little different than a lot of the other Cool Mini stuff because Cool Mini, I guess, actually listened because people were bitching about having too many add-ons that you would have to buy. That would, the base would be $100, but then you have $1,000 of add-ons. And as far as I know, there are no add-ons. Everything that gets unlocked is included in the game for free. There is no purchasable add-ons. Now, of course, they'll probably do something and prove me wrong. But as of right now, everything that's unlocked is an upgrade to the actual game itself. And it is Rising Suns. There's one pledge. There was no early bird. One pledge. That's it. It's $100. And the initial Kickstarter was for 58 miniatures, 8 of them being super high, huge monsters. And since then, they unlocked at least another 9 or 10. And then every piece that was in the game that was paper has been upgraded to plastic now. Like the little houses, the alliance tokens, the other little honor tokens, everything's in the box that is plastic now. And now they're getting into adding some more stuff. So they're up to like almost 20 monsters, 50 of the characters. All the tokens are plastic. Now, the one thing that kind of makes me go, is the fact that they're showing the resin masters, and the board game is going to be made out of a cheaper injectionable plastic, which means that they look really nice and crisp on the pictures, but once the plastics come out, they're not going to be quite as crisp anymore. So anyone who's listening to that, keep that in mind. That you're going to lose a little bit of the detail, but they're still like really fucking gorgeous models, all of them, and it's $100. It's like it's $2 a model, and these models are
it's
gorgeous.
Probably the same as the Blood Rage, and those models are pretty good.
Probably. I'm just saying that, like, if you look at the ones that are on the website, they are resin masters. And there's no way that a single piece injection mold plastic is going to equal what those resin masters look like.
No.
Because those resin masters are concept pieces, and concept pieces can change from the time that they're given to the time that they are actually released. Unlike what some dumbasses think.
I know where that one's coming from.
Oh, you have no idea where I'm talking about, Mark.
I know what you're talking about.
Dragon, dragon, dragon. Big old penis dragon, rawhide.
Puff the magic dragon.
Squatted on a rock.
I am not going to back it, and I'll tell you why. It has nothing to do with the gameplay, because if anyone is listening, this is an Eric Lang game, and Eric Lang produces nothing but fucking gold. He is amazing. The reason I'm not going to do it is because I've already got too much other crap on my plate. Plus, my friend Jason's going to get it, and Drew, friend of the show, Drew, is going to get it as well, and I'll probably just play at his house. So it's like pointless for me to get it, because the only people I'd be playing with in my local area would be the two people who will have it. So I have to think conservatively on that one. But I would say for everyone else, it's...
And that's that's actually a very, very valid reason, too. You know, there's no reason for... It's a 3-player game. You have to have a minimum of 3 players to play it, and there's no reason if you have 3 players, all 3 of you buying a copy. Unless you want the miniatures to paint. Now, I don't get excited over gameplay very much, but this one, it's a very diplomacy-style game, but unlike some other diplomacy games, it's not going to run 5 days, because it has a turn counter limit. And it's only 4 turns and the game is over. Gameplay looks amazing. The models look amazing. I mean, Cool Mini has done 26 Kickstarters. They know what the fuck they're doing. The only game that I wanted to knee-jerk pre-order, or knee-jerk back quicker than this game, was the Ninja Turtles game. And that's because it was a fucking Ninja Turtles board game. And it had Ninja Turtle miniatures in it.
Last couple of days, Larry's been like, Yeji, get it for me. Yeji, get it for me.
Actually, Joe owes me money, and it's enough money to cover the game. So I may actually just have him back it for me. Well, I mean, what happens is I buy the food for the truck, like the sandwich meat and everything. And after, like, these last 3 busts, that's basically what happened. It was like, hey, Joe, you owe me X number of dollars. Go ahead and order me these busts from George. And he orders the bus from George, and it makes us even. At one point, I was actually considering saving up enough money and having him order me a Switch. So
if you can get one.
Well, by time I would get up to $300, I'm sure they'll be out in the wild. But okay, let's put it this way: I am giving up ordering a Switch, at least for a couple months, to get to more than likely back this thing. That's how gorgeous it is. All right, so there was another Kickstarter that came up. Now, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and shout this one out. There is a Kickstarter out from Relic Knights, or for Relic Knights Soda Pop Miniatures. By time this podcast comes out, you pretty much have to go and pledge on it, because it ends. It's going to end like the day after this podcast comes out. So if you want to look at it, it looks nice. It looks really cool. It isn't Fuck Your Money February this time around. It's I cannot think of anything that sounds. No. It's because it's all March. March is where all the big ones are ending, and I can't come up with anything that sounds good with March.
March like Madness.
Munch Your Money March.
Yeah, Munch Your Money March.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, so Munch Your Money March is in full effect. Now there's another Kickstarter that came out, and this is where I have to put the objectiveness in, because this is a person that I don't hate, but I'm definitely not the biggest fan of this person. And they came out with a Kickstarter, and I honestly, this is not me going, oh, I don't like this person, so I'm going to find shit wrong with it. I honestly think there's problems with this Kickstarter. Like, you can do miniatures only, which is really nice, but it's $20 for 2 chibi miniatures, which I think is high, because most other chibis retail for somewhere between $7 and $8, $7 and maybe $9 for the more ornate ones. So he's and it's $10 or it's $20 plus shipping. So I think, me personally, I look at it and I'm like he's charging more than typical retail on a Kickstarter. But I was like, but you know what? Okay, if you like the sculpts, $20 for miniatures, not bad. Then I look at the game, and I'll be truthful. The game actually looks kind of interesting. I think there's a few things that needed to be thought out a little bit more, but overall, I think the combat system inside the game is really neat. Now, the game is super chibi Ace, and the problem I have is the game itself is $45, which you're probably like, Larry, that's not that bad for a board game. The problem is the contents in the game. The game itself looks really neat, but it comes with 2 miniatures. That's it. And then it comes with a deck of cards, some cards for the moves. It's a card-based game it plays kind of like the old school 2D fighting game like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, and you actually have to collect cards to pull off your combos. I thought that was cool as shit. The problem is that you only get 2 cards or 2 characters in the box for $45, which means I can buy 2 miniatures for $20, the exact same 2 miniatures, by the way, for $20, which means for $25 from the box set, I'm getting a deck of playing cards, a couple other full-size cards, and a board game. And the playing board isn't very big. So I don't see the value. I really think that he would have been better off if he'd bumped it up to like a $50 or $55 and included like 6 characters, or ultimately even better 8, because a lot of those 2D fighting games had 8 characters that were selectable. I think Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat were both like that. And it's not like he doesn't already have the production molds for a whole bunch of characters, because the game is backwards compatible to the miniatures that were already produced. Another thing that I think was a mess up is that instead of making the move cards the same size as the playing cards, he made them double sized. And I'll tell you why it's a mess up. I can go to Walmart and I can pick up card sleeves for $3 that will fit those cards that the moves are going to, which means I'm going to increase the lifetime of those cards. I cannot find a sleeve for the move cards. Also, I can find deck boxes all day long that'll fit the playing cards, but those double-sized cards, they're not going to fit, so I actually have to have a separate piece. The way it was before, if he would have made them all playing card size, I could get a deck holder for Magic the Gathering or whatever and carry pretty much everything I need in one itty-bitty little box. Now you have to have a much bigger box to carry around. And I think that was definitely a mistake. I think the price point is an absolute mistake. I think he should have went a little bit higher on the price and included more stuff in the box. He should have included cards for every previous chibi model that he produced from his previous 2 Kickstarters. And I think one problem that I definitely have is that he is not delivered on his second Kickstarter yet. And that, to me, is a party foul and a half. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I got burned by a guy who did that exact same thing. And I'm not saying Brian is doing this, but I got burned by a guy who kept doing Kickstarter after Kickstarter after Kickstarter and then never delivered on any of them. I don't think Brian's going to do that. I honestly do not think Brian is going to do this, as much as I really don't.
It's like Rivals.
Well, no, I just...
Well, he's not like that, but Rivals is doing that to us, I should say.
Oh, I thought you meant like he's rivaling us. I'm like, no, not really. He says he likes me. No. I personally just don't like him, which is kind of a weird dynamic in and of itself.
The board game Rivals.
I get that. I get that now. It caught me off guard. But in the grand scheme of things, I really think he should have delivered on the second Kickstarter. And it's not so much that I don't think he's going to deliver on it. It's because there were some drastic issues with the first Kickstarter, and his second Kickstarter suffered because of it. And the sad thing is that we at Models Workshop can't even vouch for it, that it's been fixed. Because We haven't even gotten any of the models from the second print run yet. We can't go, oh yeah, guys, by the way, just to let you know, we've seen the new models and how they're done, and they're all fixed and they're all hunky-dory. We cannot do that. And I don't think anybody can. He should at least got enough. What about
Yeji?
No, because they switched over to a different company, a different casting company, after the first Kickstarter was done. So the second Kickstarter, I think they're going with one that Patrick Keith actually recommended over to them. I think it's Valiant. I'm not sure. Not 100%. Don't quote me on it.
Okay, well, if that is the case, that's good, because the ones we got from Valiant for the Critterkins were pretty
amazing.
Spot on.
If it is Valiant, then well, it's just like I gave his second Kickstarter. I didn't rate it kick-ass, but I still said it was a good Kickstarter. I thought it was a really good value. I thought it was something that if you like that type of thing, to definitely go back. I cannot say that for this one. I really can't. I do not, from the bottom of my heart. This is not me being mad or irritated at Brian for whatever. Mark could have put this out, and I would still say the same thing. It's not a good value. Is it a good game? Fuck yeah. I love it. I think it needs a little bit of tweaking. I think the box content could be tweaked a little bit. I think the box that it comes in is drastically way too large, which is going to increase their shipping costs. I think they could have made everything a lot smaller and more compact, and it still had as much fun as it does now. And I...
Well, and on... Huh?
What? And it's one of those things where only including 2 miniatures in the box, I think, is an absolute mistake. Not having the older not having move cards printed for your older characters that you've already printed for the people who already bought your game, I think that's a mistake. Yes, I know the game is designed where you can play it with any model that you have, which I do like. But if that's the case, then don't put the miniatures in the box and sell me the game for $20. And make all the cards the small size. Make it where it fits into a deck box of cards. Because then I can go to Walmart and pick up a deck box and carry the game with me and not have to worry about it. And I can grab any random miniature and play with it. So, great concept. I think it was poorly executed. I think there's a few things that he could really change. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's going to fund. So if it doesn't, and I'm pretty sure Brian actually listens to the podcast. If it doesn't,
he's probably going to relaunch it because
he's going to relaunch it. He's failed. I have to say with one thing about Brian, he's persistent as all hell, because he's failed in like every Kickstarter once, and then he brings it back and he succeeds, which is awesome. And that's great. But in all seriousness, if you have to raise the price point a little bit, do it, but include more miniatures in the damn game. And even if they're old ones, even if they're older ones, okay, here's a great example. Include your second Kickstarter's miniatures in the box. Why? Because your second Kickstarter wasn't all that successful because a lot of people felt burned from your first Kickstarter. This gives a way for people who didn't get into your second Kickstarter to get the miniatures. And if you have to, just offer, also, I think maybe a pledge level with just the game, because you even say it in your own that you don't need to have the miniatures that are in the box set to play. Offer the game by itself. That'll increase your profit to price point right there, because getting a deck of cards printed once you get a certain number is actually not very expensive. And for a game like that, I'd drop $20 on it in a heartbeat. So that would be a good way to increase your price to profit. Also, shipping would be super freaking cheap too, because it's a deck of cards. You're looking at $5 to ship versus $15. So I think there's definitely, take it to heart. Take it as you will. That's just what I would do. I think honestly, of everything that you've ever put out, Brian, if you do happen to listen to this podcast, that the fighting system that you have in place in that game is fucking awesome. I just think that the content of the box missed. So if it doesn't fund, come out again swinging, redesign it a little bit, and I think you actually could have a real big success with this. But whatever. Talk to me. I have a couple ideas about the game too to make it a little bit better, if you'll actually listen. But anyways, the game itself, I definitely will say, is really fucking awesome. The price point is just not there though, and that's my personal opinion. Check it out. It's super chibi ace. You may look at the models and look at the game and be like, hey, $45, I got no problem with that. Me personally, I just don't think the money is there. So, getting off of this Kickstarter stuff, who here has seen Logan? All of us, right?
Me. Oh, I hit the mic, sorry.
You sound you sound sad. Like, I have. Fucking, it's Logan, dude. Well, hold on, no spoilers. No spoilers. It is sad, I will say, but my God, wasn't it? It's not the Logan movie that we've wanted. It's the Logan movie that we fucking deserve.
Dude, it was amazing. We don't normally
pretty damn good.
Yeah, we normally don't go see movies in the theaters, but after everyone on my Facebook, minus one, every single person minus one, it was this is amazing. This is fucking amazing.
And that one is a freaking idiot. So
it was absolutely amazing. I know people were thinking it was going to be a little bit toned because of the overall feel to it, from the previews. It's not fucking toned. There is so much action, and it's crazy the amount of blades that come out.
Okay, so this is the best way I can say is typically movies are done in 3 acts. And Logan is the same way. Almost every movie out there is done in 3 acts. You got first act, second act, third act. The first half of the first act is a little slow, other than the first scene. The first sixth of the movie, the first 12 minutes.
When a movie's slow. First word is fuck, you know how the tone is going to be set.
Right.
I don't understand how people say it was slow. I didn't think it was slow at all.
It was a good setup.
It's a good setup, but it's a little slow. I'm not saying it's a bad slow, but some people were complaining how the first little bit was kind of slow, but you can't, and it was in a way, but I'm not saying it was bad because it really set everything up and it made everything.
I think it was a perfect setup.
And it made everything fucking perfect. There is... go watch...
I think it brought more reality to the concept as much as you can have a person who's self-regenerated and has claws, a reality. I think it brought that reality thing of you have this thing is okay, what now? It's that what now? It's the life after this. It's okay, well, we're not fighting this. What do? You get a fucking job. I thought that was so amazing.
Right?
I was and just the fact of the matter of bringing his work into it and seeing what he does for a living, and the fact of what we all go through on a day-to-day basis, and seeing him struggle with pain and boredom and everything you can think of, taking care of alien friend or family member, that kind of stuff. It was so hit home. So anybody who thinks that's boring just has not experienced life, I think. I thought it was awesome.
No. I never said it was boring. I said it was slow.
No. But you're saying other people were saying it was too slow and not a good setup. And
no. I never said it. No, I never said it was. Anyone said it was a bad setup. I said that the only thing I've ever.
No.
No, Mark's just saying it as a point. If people thought it was slow and boring.
No,
you were saying it was a good setup, which I agree with. I think it was a great setup.
There's everything to like about this movie. There is... It's... No, it does not follow the comic book canon, so if you're that fucking hardcore into it has to follow the comic book, don't go watch this movie. You will be disappointed. If you can realize that the X-Men universe movies are separate from the comic books, then go watch this fucking movie. And don't... Okay, I'm going to say this in all honesty. Do not... Unless you have a massive, really nice fucking sound system and a really nice big crisp TV, do not wait for it to come out on video. Don't. Go and watch it in the theaters. This is one of the very rare few movies that I say that you have to get that theater experience out of it because it makes the movie that much better. And I don't say that about many movies. A lot of them I'll be like, yeah, it was a good movie, but I could have waited till I got it at home. This one, I'm going to buy it, but I do not regret watching it in theaters. And now I will say a lot of people are worried about taking their kids. If you do not mind, if you don't mind them watching violence and cuss words, you should be okay. There's not
a little bit of nudity.
There's 2 boobs that you see for a half a second. That's the nudity. And there may have been an ass cheek. I'm not entirely sure. But there's not a lot of there's no sex. There's like a set of boobs for like quite literally less than a second. Lots of blood, lots of violence, lots of cussing. Like some of the things that were being said made me go, wow.
So there, and I'm not spoiling anything, but there's a scene in the movie that happens, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody else, but you see part of it in the preview. It's the fact where the guy, I forget his name, with the metal hand is saying to the little girl, no. The scenes before that are absolutely amazing, and it's not even just the scenes of action before that. It's her demeanor of what she's doing made me just go, this is amazing.
Yeah, for every little bit that Wolverine is a badass,
she was so
X23 was fucking amazing. I'm like, whoa. I was surprised at how they're dynamic, them fighting, them going at it together was just like mind-blowing. And if you think that this is a movie that if you watch the trailer and you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, I've seen everything, nope. The trailer, I was worried about the same thing because you got that traileritis where they show you all the good shit in the trailer. Nope. Did they show you good shit in the trailer? Yep. Do you still have a lot of good shit that's not in the trailer? Absolutely.
There's a specific scene that they leave out in the trailer of when she's walking outside and she's got her backpack and she's walking towards them. In the movie, there's more.
And it makes it even, like, in the trailer, it makes it look awesome. In the movie, it's, like, almost jaw-dropping. I'll be honest, I was sitting on the edge of my seat. I cried a couple times during the movie. And, dude, like, my emotions went in 5 different directions while watching this fucking movie.
Yeah, me too. It was fantastic.
It freaking hit everything. And I'm normally a person that does not cry during movies. Yeah, it was. Oh my god! There is not. Like, and then there was the whole audience laughed and gasped and we were hearing everything together. It was funny.
There are scenes that you literally laugh out loud. They are that funny. You watch them and you're like, oh, that's funny as hell. Ha 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 ha. And then there's scenes where you've got tears rolling down your face, and then there's scenes where you're just you're doing when you're 10 years old and you're watching a really awesome show and you're fighting along with them yeah. Everything that you ever wanted to see Wolverine do in a past movie, more than likely he does it in this movie. Like I said, this isn't the movie that we've wanted. This is the movie that we have deserved. Absolutely. Everything that should have been in every previous Wolverine movie was in this one. Now,
and the guy who plays Caliban, I forget where he is. He did an exceptional job too.
Right.
I think the best thing about all of the things you watch in every single movie is that these aren't just superheroes, they're people. And they have emotions and fears and regrets, and it takes it away from oh, I've got a superpower, this is the bad guy, let's go do something. It brings a more humanistic side to it. It's so good. It is so good. I can't even say enough about it. But anyways, no spoilers.
Now, did you hear about what Ryan Reynolds is doing?
He was trying to get
a preview.
He was trying to get a Deadpool Wolverine movie going on.
Well, he wants Wolverine in the next Deadpool movie. He wants Wolverine in the next Deadpool movie, and he wants Logan's Wolverine in the next Deadpool movie. No, what I was saying is if Ryan Reynolds is quite literally camping out in front of Hugh Jackman's house.
That's awesome.
Like
that's awesome.
Like literally, he's camping out in front of Hugh Jackman's house to get until he agrees to do the Wolverine to play Wolverine in the Deadpool movie.
Well, isn't Deadpool doesn't start shooting until this summer, I think, Deadpool 2. And if you guys watch Logan, you'll see a trailer for Deadpool 2.
It's not a trailer.
It's a teaser.
It's a teaser because that is not going to be in the movie. It's a mini movie. It's they're kind of doing like what
the one online. There's more to the one online.
Yes, and it's hilarious.
It is stupidly hilarious. I can't believe how much I laughed just at that.
I cannot wait for the next Deadpool, and I'm really sad that it took the final Hugh Jackman Wolverine movie for them to actually do it right. That makes me actually sad. Because I know that I'm not going to get to see him do it again. I can only hope that with the success of Wolverine and Logan and with the success of Deadpool, and Suicide Squad, we actually start seeing more hard R superhero movies. Because there's a lot of superhero movies that would be fucking amazing as a hard R that you could not pull off with a PG-13.
Is that the first hard R for a Wolverine movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the first R period for a Wolverine movie.
It worked.
You think? Hold up. I gotta look up the stat.
It's like I don't think if you had any. I don't think if you took it away, like some of the violence in it, because the young girl who plays X-23, she's visceral. I mean, she's guttural and animalistic, and it's amazing. And you find out the reasons why. But
holy shit!
If you didn't let her be that way with the violence, I don't think it would have the pull it did, especially with the other side of the story with it.
Holy shit!
Are you looking at box office numbers?
Fuck yeah. Okay, so opening weekend, it brought in $88 million opening weekend. Woo. Which means its budget was $97 million. It brought in 88 its opening weekend, which means it did really, really, really well. That means it almost paid for the movie.
It didn't beat... I don't think it beat Deadpool, though.
I'm not sure, but as of right now, its worldwide totals, as of the 9th, was $305 million. And
that's pretty good.
And if there's any movie that I would say that has a chance of beating... Okay, hold up. If there's any movie out there that has a chance of beating its opening weekend, it's probably Logan, because... usually that happens whenever there's really, really strong word of mouth advertising. And this is easily one of those movies that has incredible word of mouth. All right. As of right now, Deadpool had a production budget of $58 million, had a domestic gross of $363 million, and it's number one. Logan currently has a domestic gross of $114 million on a $97 million budget. So there is a chance that Logan will beat out Deadpool. I don't know. Let's see. Where's the opening weekend? All right. Opening weekend for Deadpool was $132 million. Logan was $88 million. So Logan is second in the R-rated comic book movies. It was $50 million behind. So, but still, I mean... fuck. I mean, it's still really, really strong. What's scary is Logan. I mean, Logan has a higher foreign presence than Deadpool did. But I think Deadpool also was banned in a few countries.
Was it?
Oh, some of those countries with
know
weird
that.
obscenity laws? I'm sure it was banned there.
Oh, probably. Maybe
Yes.
the International Women's Day scene was not taken too well.
You think? Oh, by the way, yesterday was international, or was it yesterday or the day before?
Like 2 days ago.
I think it was a couple days ago. So happy International Women's Day.
That meme was going around too.
Oh, I'm sure it was. It was really cool. I took the time and tweeted out at all of the strong female painters and podcasters and everything in the communities that I belong to and all that good shit. So I've been okay, speaking of podcasters, I was actually inquiring around asking about networks because there's podcast networks. And I was like, you know what? Let me check into this. Maybe there'll be some perks to it. So I checked into one and they were like, well, I would be your project manager. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what's the stats on your show? Because, of course, the project manager also has a podcast themselves. And they said that they would be in charge of basically our content scheduling and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, I'm like, that was like red flag. No. But then they handed me the stats to their show. And I'm like, how the fuck are you going to tell me what direction to take my show whenever the stats on your show is half of what mine is? Like, seriously, you're going to try to tell me the creative direction of my show whenever you're not even anywhere near the standard of my show? It's like, riddle me that one, Batman. And it's like, yeah, there's no chance in hell that you have to worry about me contacting you about joining your network. I should just do my own for the miniature wargaming community.
Well, there's besides like something up north, there's definitely a vacuum in certain ways. There's a lot of wargaming podcasts, but as far as like models and paints, there's
us.
There's not too many.
There's us. No, Mark, there's us.
Well, I know there was other things that were doing it. Wasn't there one like that was doing like a Facebook thing, Miniatures in Focus? And then there's
for like what? For like what? 2 months?
No, not even that. You're talking about all the
5 episodes.
You're talking about all the Screaming Heretic guys, Joe and Jen and Kathy. Well, Joe was doing the Miniatures in Focus.
Break up because didn't they get a divorce or something?
Well,
like
that was the entire split up of the Screaming Heretic. But Joe went on to do Miniatures in Focus, which was on YouTube, and I think he made it to 6 episodes, and it died. Then I have no idea what happened to it. Then Jen and Kathy James for sure, and I think James were doing the Island of Misfit Toys. And while they have produced an episode in the last couple of months, it's more of a when they have time to sit down and actually do an episode, they'll do an episode. So I'm not going to say it's dead, but it's kind of like how Wargamers Consortium's podcast is. If they have a chance to record one, they will. But
it's been over a year for them.
Right. And that's actually pretty normal. It was a year since the last one too. Now, when it comes down to set schedule podcasts, you have tons of gameplay podcasts like Skirmish Supremacy, was it D6 Generation, all those guys, tons of them for actual gameplay. But when it comes to painting, it's us. That's how it is. It's us.
Geeks of the North.
No, Geeks of the North covers a lot more gameplay than they do painting. They talk about the projects that they're working on, but they don't focus on the techniques and stuff. They focus more on the gameplay when it actually comes down to the actual podcast. We don't talk about gameplay, period, other than, hey, it's a good game. We actually talk about, hey, this is how you do this 2D, this painting technique, and we discuss it and we talk about the steps of it. That's where Yom and all them can talk to their heart's content about the projects they're working on, but that doesn't make it a painting podcast.
Okay. I think they do bring up some stuff though,
but not to the area that we do. And it's not to, I listen to Geeks of the North myself. I'm not saying anything to discredit them. They have a great podcast. I like it. I like their dynamic. But they're not... It's not an easy thing to take miniature painting and put it into an audio-only format. And we do it. And that's what other people have told us, is we do it. And we do it well. And I really don't know of any other podcast that does that. You have hobby podcasts, and that's... I would almost I would classify Geeks of the North as more of a broad-ranged hobby podcast. I classify us as a painting podcast.
Okay.
And we all have our roles. And it's just like, because I made a comment when I was talking to Paint All the Minis, or, damn it. Now I've blanked on the dude's name. Herpaderpaderp. But when I was talking to him, I brought up to the fact that his podcast sounded a lot like ours. And it does. It has a general similar flow to it. And it almost, I guess it came down to where it almost sounded like I was accusing him of ripping off our style, which actually was not what I was trying to say. It was, hey, you have a style that's similar to ours, and that's not a bad thing. You know, there's a lot of podcasts out there that do somewhat of the same stuff. You know, we talk a lot about painting. Other podcasts don't. They talk about the more general, hey, this is what's coming out. This is the news. And that's Geeks of the North. It's almost more of a news style. News in general.
I agree with
news
that.
in general hobby.
Once a week.
We don't do the news. We may talk a little bit about our news segment for the most part is, hey, there's a really badass new miniature coming out. It looks really cool. I want to paint it. Which falls in line of the, this is what we do when it comes down to we paint. We focus more on we'll talk about a contents of a game and how paintable it is versus the content of a game and how playable it is. And I think that's the
difference.
Right. And Paint All the Minis. And he's over on Twitter at Paint All the Minis. And, you know, I brought it up to, you know, how his style was very similar to ours. And he was like, well, I definitely wasn't trying to bite your style. And it's like, oh, no, it's fine because we record once every 2 weeks. So even if you have a short format podcast, there's plenty of room for both of us in this gig. I mean, there's 100 freaking hobby podcasts out there. And, you know, and we all have what makes us us. Geeks of the North, they have great news. They talk about a lot of the great news that's coming out. They talk about the Kickstarters that are coming out, games that they're playing. We talk about the painting. And they have a Hangout podcast. We have a Hangout podcast. We're both really similar in that aspect. And in the beginning, that's all we were, was a Hangout podcast. We didn't talk about hobby shit. It was actually took, I think Adam originally asked us at the very beginning, hey, can you start including more hobby stuff? And so we did. And then we slowly transmorphed our style into including a lot more when it comes to painting. Because, you know, I kind of like that niche. I like being the painting podcast, you know, talking about specifically painting stuff. Hey, that new Simon Kickstarter that's coming out, gameplay looked pretty neat, but oh my god, those miniatures are fucking gorgeous and I can't wait to paint them. And that's where we go. While someone like Geeks of the North may go, hey, that new Simon podcast or Kickstarter's coming out, the models look really neat, but the gameplay, did you see it? That shit looks fucking awesome. And that's the difference. Just a little bit. At least that's the way I see it. That and we cuss a lot more. And half the time you can understand what most of us say. Unlike Yom. Those beeps and boops just get in the way, damn machine. It was a joke, Mark. Fucking laugh.
We can barely hear you.
Again, fuck. Alright. On that note, where I'm doing the headroom, I think it's probably a good time to wrap it up.
Okay.
Plus, we're a little bit long in the tooth because we kind of went on a rant there at the end. But any closing statements from you guys?
If anyone's heading to Adepticon in approximately 14 days, look me up. I'll be in the painting area, and I'll be teaching 2 classes in the morning. One on Friday, one on Saturday. I think there's still room on Saturday, but if you just want to stop in and say hi, you can. But I will be mostly hanging out at the painting area. And that's pretty much it. I know there's a lot of other people coming in, and that's it. Yeah, I'll be at the painting area.
Oh, that brings me up something. Next weekend, if you are in the Indianapolis area, Brick World is returning to Indianapolis for the 2017 season. Tickets are on sale. They're $12 a piece. And if you want, you can come out and hang out with Mark and I. We'll both be out there geeking out about the brickalicious flavors of all the Legos, Mega Bricks, and every other thing that's out there. And that's going to be at the Convention Center and in Indianapolis. Just hit me up if you need an address of where it's going to be at. Like I said, it's $12. Mark and I will both be there. I get to meet someone before Yeji does. But
big nerd for Legos. I love them.
Like, it's funny because Mark was like, "Hey, don't."
And who was the one that suggested for you to do that?
It was Yeji because she's like, he really likes Legos, don't you? And I was like, no. He's like, he really likes Legos. You should ask him if he can come down. I was like, okay, that sounds cool. I was actually getting ready to message your wife and go, please let him come down. I want to hang out with your husband.
No, I just want to make sure that we didn't have another conflict. We, like everyone else, I'm guilty of it too, but it's like one of those things where I'm like, Sunday, anything going on? And she's like, yes, we're doing this. I'm like, okay, I totally forgot. Or vice versa. She'll say the same thing. She's like, hey, do we have anything going on Sunday? And I'm like, I don't have anything. She's like, okay, I might. So it's like that.
Yeah, I was actually getting ready to message her and beg and grovel. Like, legitly.
No need.
Legitly, I was going to. I was like, please. So I can actually tell Yeji I met someone on Models Workshop before she did.
No need. It's okay.
But if anybody does go to Adepticon and sees Mark, give him a hug for me. And so Mark will have like 30,000 hugs by the end of this.
Don't do that. I'll shake your hand or something. Just come up. Hey, Mark, how's it going? If you come up and just start hugging me and I have no clue who you are, I'm not going to be pleased.
The shark loves hugs. Don't fucking listen to him.
Oh, God.
He promises he won't put any concrete shoes on you. I'm just waiting for you to start getting spam advertising, spam mail addressed to Mark the Shark.
It'll happen. Trust me.
I know it is. I get mail at my house addressed to Models Workshop.
All right.
That's actually half the reason I started addressing shit to Mark the Shark was just so you started getting spam mail addressed to the shark.
If the FBI shows up and asks me about mob affiliations, I'm going to tell them your name. I'm going to be like, Larry's the boss.
Our crime family is called the Workshop.
Oh,
yeah.
goodness.
Once you're the Workshop, I tell you, we got jobs to do and everything.
You should go talk.
Hilarious.
You should go talk to Models. He lives over in Indiana.
Oh boy.
He even has connections over in Vegas.
Oh, that's not good because it's true.
Yeah, his connections out there is this Asian chick named Yeji. Watch out, she's mean.
Making Mark get hugs.
It's raining men. Hallelujah. Yes, but hugs. Mark loves hugs. Go give him a hug. Don't listen to what he's saying. Come give him a hug.
I won't be angry. I'll just look at you funny.
Like, who are you?
He would look at you funny if you asked him for like a handshake out of the blue. So
No, I wouldn't.
you absolutely would.
Maybe a little bit.
But yeah, just nice big hug. He looks like a big teddy bear anyways. Just don't ask him about that bulge underneath his arm.
What bulge?
Your gun.
Oh, that's right. Shh.
No, all made men enforcers have to carry it.
FBI, if you're listening to this, I'm not a made man. There is no... It's a joke. I rode a shark when I was drunk. It's a joke.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Seriously. I mean, the mailman calls me the shark now.
That's fucking great. What I love...
Because you guys did it, Nandy did it, everyone's doing it.
What I love is the fact that I started calling you the shark and addressing shit to you in the mail as the shark, and now everybody is calling you the shark and mailing you shit as the shark.
Yeah.
Oh, what did Nandy send you, by the way?
He sent me a couple cards for Arcadia Quest that he got, like the promo ones.
How did he address the envelopes?
Mark the Shark.
Oh, there wasn't any business listed?
No.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not giving that out over the air. Yes, because I do use my business for all of my mailing because I'm there all the time, so why not? But I'm not going to do that because people will look up and be like, I know Mark's in storage, and I know he does this.
He's,
and then start
he's
sending stamps.
he's definitely storing something. Just don't ask him.
Yeah.
Just don't ask him about those 50-gallon drums in storage area number 1.
You can't store that shit. We don't allow that. You can't store that at all. That's like against policy.
Oh,
I hope
we should
I
just
would
start
hope storing
sending
dead
him
bodies
like
is against policy.
Not dead bodies, the 50-gallon drums.
What do you think the
dead bodies?
We should
of
all
course.
start
What do you think the
sending him
50-gallon
like
drums are
That's
for?
sex toys and stuff at work.
No, please don't do that.
But it would be fun.
It would, but no. I mean, no, it wouldn't. Just all right. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm tired. You guys are crazy.
Should fucking send him a glitter IED. Gets it in the mail. Boom.
Please don't, because I'd have to clean it up.
Do you know how long it takes to get glitter out of your beard?
I know.
And what the bad thing is you're gonna get some funky ass transference. Like a couple weeks later, you know, you and your wifey are gonna be having fun. Next thing you know, it's gonna look like a damn. She bedazzled the shit.
Alrighty then.
No, it's not bedazzled when it does that. It's was it vajazzled?
Oh god.
She's gonna look all vajazzled.
Or she's gonna be like, "Where'd you get that body glitter? Does it taste like strawberries?"
I am.
Tastes like
I got a scotch
schnozberry.
now. I just downed the last part. I'm done.
Oh boy.
Oh. Hey, we waited to the end before the high school came out. Too bad.
There we go.
Oh.
Vajazzled. I can't believe I managed to fit vajazzled into this episode.
Oh goodness.
Actually, no, I'm not surprised.
Anywho.
I'm mildly proud that I was able to fit it.
Anywho, we're at 2 hours of recording time, so thanks for joining us,
Thank
guys.
you, everyone, for joining us. Make sure you hit us up on the website, and that's models-workshop.com. Check out the new website. You can also hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/The Models Workshop. You can send us a message, and Yeji or I or Clint or someone else will, of course, get back to you. And you can hit me up on the tweets at twitter.com/NWAH because I'm always on the tweets. But thanks everyone for tuning in. We love you guys. You're the reason we do this. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Seriously, at this point, I can hear like every third word you're saying, so I can't even follow a conversation.
I thought it was just me.
I hear going, okay, I can't even talk because I don't know what the fuck Larry's talking about.
Like, Larry's over there talking, and it was like, and I'm like, okay, am I lagging, or is Larry lagging?
No, it's Larry.
Thank you for joining us for another great episode of Models Workshop After Hours, your one-stop podcast for laughs and great painting advice. We come out at least every other week, barring emergencies and holidays, of course, covering a wide variety of hobby topics and basically talking about life in general. When you're not listening to us through your favorite podcatcher, you can find the entire crew hanging out at facebook.com/The Models Workshop. That's all one word smushed together, sharing all the cool things that we find floating around the internet and giving out painting advice. You can also find Larry Larry on Twitter and Instagram at MWAH Podcast, and Yeji and Clint the same at Snickernack, which is NICKERNACK. If you like what we do, please make sure to drop a quick review on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or whatever service you listen to us on. This helps us out greatly and gets the word of the After Hours out to everyone. Models Workshop is done out of pocket. We have no advertisers because we like to be able to be completely truthful with you. If you want to make a donation to help us out, you can at paypal.me/Models Workshop, or you can do a monthly service at patreon.com/Models Workshop. Once again, thank you for listening. Until next time, grab those brushes, paints, and get to painting.